Gavin Morton, and we're in Las Vegas today, and I'm visiting with Gretchen Alarcon. How are you today?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Gretchen is Group Vice President of Product Strategy and has a wealth of knowledge on artificial intelligence and how AI impacts human resources. In terms of human resources and technology, typically HR has been behind in technology. I'm going to ask you a big question. How do we get them ahead? How do we help them get up front when it comes to technology and using AI to do that?
Yeah. Well, I have to say, the pace of technology change is happening so fast, right? I can't keep up with the updates to the apps on my own phone, and that's just my own individual technology use. That's not talking about technology use on behalf of a company, right? So I think there's always going to be some lag between when the technology takes off and when an organization can really adopt it. So I think, again, part of that is understanding what are those areas where the technology is really going to address what you're trying to do. We were talking about this earlier today in the case of blockchain, that, blockchain is really exciting right now. Lots of people are talking about it. But most of the use cases that I am hearing are about recruiting and about securing the application process. That might be really important if you are recruiting in an area where typically you've had fraud or you've had other areas where you need to really certify somebody. But is that needed across your entire organization? Is that the best use right now of the technology? And I think that's an area where, again, we need to just explore and say, this is really exciting technology, but is the use case we're coming up with really going to add material value? And that, to me, is the thing that we, as the people who develop applications, we have to be paying attention to. We're focused on the process and the outcome. The technology is the enabler.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd love to see HR continue to understand technology and understand how to help the business move forward. I mean, obviously, that's really important. So I had a thought. Leadership development is a team thing, right? Executive development, executive team. How does AI, or have you seen AI, impact a leadership team in terms of strategy and visioning and where to go in the market, those type of things?
I think that's a really important question. And I think right now where AI is playing a role is really more making you more productive in your processes. However, I am talking to a couple different companies right now, customers, about how does AI help me understand where the next opportunity might be for a leader, not necessarily an opportunity for the company yet. That's, I live in the HR space. I'm not corporate strategy. But, for example, one of our customers has a rule now that to be prepared to move to the executive suite, you need to have a certain type of experience. You have to have worked in a turnaround. You have to have worked overseas. You have to have worked in, a number of different experiences. And so one of the things that they were looking at in their talent review process is how do they create talent pools for various people in that role? Mm-hmm. And I kind of said, well, hang on a minute. Could AI play a role where I could take someone and say, they're ready and there's an opportunity that we see coming. Let's start aligning that, right? And then again, that's in the ideation stage right now. But I do see an opportunity there to kind of better align people with the opportunities that are coming their way within the company.
Well, I think that'd be really outstanding, right? I mean, that would be fantastic. It would be fun. And I think that more and more people understand what they're supposed to do, but still don't do it. And so if you can, diversity and inclusion, people understand it, but if they're not acting on it, if a system and a process and an artificial intelligence can help the hold accountable part of it, that would be pretty cool. Do you think that'll happen?
I think that there's a lot of opportunity to just remove friction from the process as well. So when you think about AI, whether if you're using chatbots or you're talking about other capabilities like that, people tend to be more adoptive of things that are familiar to them. So for example, if I usually text people and I'm familiar with that, if I'm now texting to a number to give feedback on a person or something like that, that in my head, I'm just doing what is normal. But behind the scenes, the system is actually working on my behalf to align with the various processes. That's a good thing for me. Same thing with voice. I've talked to people a lot of times that I live in California. We spend a lot of time in cars, right? The number of things I could get done from an HR standpoint if I'm using voice, I could give feedback on every single person who was in the meeting and say, you did a great job, you needed to improve here, some coaching, that sort of a thing. But I could actually document that against their performance record. Huge value. But I'm not thinking about it in terms of the technology behind it. I'm thinking about it as I want to be productive while I'm driving from the meeting home, and the technology is what's going to make me productive.
Right. Okay. So I have one other question for you. So we did a survey last year that said less than 9% understood how AI impacted HR in their organizations. You guys did something that said 93% of employees are ready to take direction from a robot. Okay. So I want you to look forward for me and tell me, what do you think the adoption will be over the next few years of employees?
I think what we're going to see happen is the broad category of AI is going to start to segment into various types of technologies that are being adopted, because I think AI is so broad that it's very hard for people to say, oh, I adopted that. But if I say, you know what, you're going to roll out a chat bot that makes it easier for your employees to engage with the HR system, or for your candidates to find the next position, I think we're going to see that kind of adoption. I think we're also going to see technology being enabled into processes. So machine learning coming into the learning product, or into career development, or other things like that, where the end user may not necessarily see that as AI, but they'll know that they've improved their process. So I think what we're going to see is, rather than saying, did you adopt AI, we're going to wind up saying, did you re-engage your employees in a different way, and is the technology helping you do that?
Well, thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you very much.